Going on, guys? Jeff back with another video. Well, today I have a really cool review for some of you guys. We're going to be covering issue number 1 of Skin Crawl magazine. You might be familiar with this because you saw it in my What's in the Shop over the holidays. I got this guy through Kickstarter from Art of Skinner, and I think it's a really cool comic, and it's a nice callback to the old eerie comics from the 1950s. So we're going to take this back to the shop and do a review of this Skin Crawl issue number 1. All right, welcome back, guys. So this is the first issue of Skin Crawl magazine by Skinner. For those of you guys who aren't familiar with Skinner, he's a Oakland, California area-based artist, and he's a pretty rad dude. I'm familiar with him from a lot of heavy metal albums for bands most noted like High on Fire and Mastodon. I've seen a lot of his other work in other mediums. He's a pretty cool dude. I actually follow him on Instagram, which is where I first found out about this Skin Crawl magazine. Just a little backstory on him. He's a really cool guy. He's a very genuine person. He has a lot of strong opinions and views on a lot of things, which most artists do. He's a very insightful and very reflective guy too, which, you know, I really appreciate the fact of how genuine he is, and I love following him on Instagram. Him and I probably have nothing in common when it comes to our views on the world, our views on life, but that's the cool thing about him and artists like him, and just following different people, different on different platforms, is that as many differences as what a lot of us have, at the end of the day, we're a lot more alike than we are different. And I really believe that about a lot of things. And this guy here is just, you know, one of those people which I just, every day I get up and I check my Instagram, I always go to his feed because I know he always has something cool going on. Again, this is how I discovered Skin Crawl magazine. It was a Kickstarter project launched by him, and it was a no-brainer for me to actually crowdfund this on Kickstarter when I first saw it. The comic itself is a really cool homage to the old days of eerie comics, when you would have these really vibrant, awesome comic book stories that would give cautionary tales on social commentaries. It would be very, very controversial at the time. It would actually, I believe, help launch the comic book code, which was a censorship tool used by comic book companies, pushed by the United States government back in the 1950s, because parents and schools felt that these horror comics were going to do more damage than good. And looking back on that, we all probably think that's completely bananas, but then if you've seen how society has evolved since then, all the things that we used to censor now are pretty much accepted as mainstream, and then now we're starting to censor things like just speech in general. And people who, what bothers me a lot about that is that people who would have definitely been against the comic book code and what it was doing back in the day support the censorship of speech now. So it's very weird to see how organic that all's come around. I don't think anybody ought to censor any type of speech. I think the best counter to bad speech is good speech, and that's just how I feel about that. So back to what I was saying before I went on my rant. This is very, I shouldn't say based, this is kind of a tribute in a way to the old eerie comic style of storytelling, or, you know, Tales from the Crypt, or like Weird Tales. So it has several stories in here that each are a very cautionary tale and has some social commentary and a little bit of a message in each story. So you can see the cover. The cover is the issue of Skin Crawl number 1, painted by Skinner. He autographed each issue. It's issue 1, October. I got this back during Halloween. And when I got the Kickstarter, I forget what package I bought, but the one I bought came with 2 really cool, let's go ahead. Really cool enamel pins. This first pin of Rolly, and this other pin of a really cool Halloween jack-o'-lantern. They got a, I believe, sticker. Another sticker of Rolly. 2 more stickers, I guess. This another cool, awesome sticker. Another awesome sticker. And this really cool glow-in-the-dark art print of one of the stories in the Skin Crawl issue. So you got a lot of these extras when you do the Kickstarter that you wouldn't get if you bought the retail version off of his website. So we'll go ahead and pop it open, show you a little bit. So on the intro cover here, Skin Dog basically gives you a whole outline of this whole comic, what inspired him to do it, why he's doing it. It's really cool. I really appreciate artists like him doing cool things like this that are inspired by a lot of the old awesome stories and comics back in the day before I was born. So then you've got the first story, which is kind of the intro of how we get to this individual right here, which is Rolly. He's basically the main protagonist or antagonist of this story or this comic. He's kind of like the Crypt Keeper or the I can't remember the other names of the guys who kind of guide you through all these stories. And then you have your first story, which is Mother Earth, which is really play on greed and environmentalism, or not environmentalism, greed and environmental destruction, basically all the flaws of humanity. And there's more to the story than that, but that's kind of the basic overview of what I get out of it. So it's a cool story. It's a little choppy at first, but the art really brings everything together. Again, you can see Rolly introducing the next story like you'd see in all these old vintage magazines. So this is a really good one here. This Homecoming story is essentially a story about, in a way, non-acceptance and bullying of people who are different than you. So again, these are all cautionary tales that you would see in those old magazines as well, which are playing on social commentary. Again, the art is really nice. This is his first comic, I believe he did. He loves comics, by the way, I guess. And I can tell because these are just really nice stories that flow well. We've got Rolly in a patch of psychedelic mushrooms. And then you get a really quick short story as well. Interesting. And you get some more super psychedelic art. You definitely need to check this guy's art out if you're not familiar with it. And then another really cool cautionary tale of a kid who makes a deal with a witch to help his town and just doesn't fall through. There's a lot of undertones in this story too that you could learn lessons from. Don't lie. It's kind of a dark boy who cried wolf story. Takes a twisted turn towards the end. But each story is pretty good. I enjoy them all. Then there's the last story here, which is just a really cool sci-fi horror story about a cat. This guy Skinner, he loves his cat. So this is my favorite story in the whole magazine or the whole comic. And this is by far, I think, the best story in here, and the best, in my opinion, the best art in this whole awesome comic book of art. On the back, very end of the thing, you get Rock Bottom Novelties ad, like you'd see in the old magazines, ads for different retailers, which is really cool. You get Skinner's website for all his stuff, and then you've got this cool Han Cholo, which I follow this guy on Instagram too, who does a lot of jewelry and stuff. So, and on the back, you've got this cool live-action still shot, something that you'd really see like in a Svengoolie or a Sammy Terry show. So, it's a really cool comic. I'm glad I bought it. It's probably one of the cooler things I have in my collection right now, and I definitely know he's working on Skin Crawl issue number 2, which I hope he does a Kickstarter for it, because I will get it as well. And I think if you're a fan of horror magazines and you're a fan of the horror genre, you definitely should pick this up. I'll post links to his site, Rock Bottom Novelties, and Han Cholo in the description of this video. But yeah, for a first issue, I think it's really, really cool. I think he's probably just getting his storytelling going. At times the stories are a little, in my opinion, kind of clunky at first, but you know, I'm not a writer, so what the hell do I know about anything? I just read a lot of comics and books, so I kind of feel like I have a really good handle on some of that stuff. The art is top notch, and the cool thing is this is the first issue, so if he continues to do these, which I think he's going to, the stories and the art are just going to become better and better and better until, you know, who knows, issue by issue 10, you know, it could be phenomenal. And trust me, with these cautionary tales about society, he's got plenty of ammo right now, because there's plenty of screwed up things going on in the world that you could definitely do some parodies on. So anyways, guys, I wanted to share this with you. I know I shared it in my What's in the Shop. I kind of wanted to do a detailed overview of the comic and all the different stories, and that it is like those old eerie comics from the 1950s. And you know, imagine taking this back to 1950 and letting your kids read it, or letting your teacher see it. I mean, this would literally probably send some people to an insane asylum. But you know, it's just the way life is, I guess. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review of the Skin Crawl Magazine issue number 1. Hit the like and subscribe button, notification icon. I don't do a lot of comic book reviews, so I'm sorry if this wasn't really your cup of tea, but let me know in the comments what you think of horror comics in general, because I'm really into them. I'm really into horror, the whole horror genre. I think, like I've mentioned before, a lot of my G.I. Joe stories borrow from a definite horror genre. So, guys, hope you enjoyed the review, and until next time, cheers. Bonus time, guys, on this Artist Skinner Skin Crawl video. I forgot to mention this, but back during Halloween last year, this is a cool Art of Skinner sticker. He posted on his Instagram this cool pop-up card that he did for a company called Popposition. So Skinner helped design this super dope pop-up card. Check that out, huh? That is super rad, right? Let's just go ahead and pop that out. Take a look at this real quick. You've got the little kid in the cauldron, all the Skinner-esque inspired monsters, and this really dope witch that just jumps out at you. This is one of the coolest things in the world. I love this. I forgot I even had this until I started going through my desk the other day, cleaning it out for the new year. Yeah, I bought this back in October. I saw it on his Instagram and jumped over to the Popposition site and bought this. It's really, really cool. My mom actually sends my son a pop-up Halloween card every year. So this is just super rad. And I wanted to show this to you guys. So this is kind of a little bonus video at the end of our Skinner Skin Crawl review. So that's pretty cool. Maybe they'll do this again next year. I'll post a link to Popposition in my description as well, to Skinner's site. So later, guys.